Morning, everyone. So today it's a talk, but it's really more of a conversation. We decided to present together, me and Elmo, um, because we thought it was a good idea to share the study of mediumship of intelligent effect. Um, Last time we discussed, we had the talk, Elmo presented mediumship of physical effect. And nowadays, more and more, we have mediumship of intelligent effect, much more than mediumship of physical effect, because intelligent effects are the ones that can stay with us, that can be recorded, that can be transformed in a book, in notebooks, that can be spread out. And mediumship of physical effect has uh, limited reach, most of it. So let me share here the screen. You see here um, the, the presentation. What we are going to do, we are going to go through the slides. I'm going to read them, and then Elmo and myself are going to comment on it, okay? So this is lesson 9 of this is part of the United States Spiritist Federation course on mediumship that is available on the United States Spiritist Federation website. If anyone wants to go there and check, everything is there. All the presentations, all the slides, they are in a PDF format that you can all access and review it. Okay, so when we talk about mediumship of intelligent manifestations, the manifestations of intellectual phenomena produce results of a mental nature. That is to say, the communicating spirit will lead the medium to a certain mental intellectual elaboration when transmitting messages to those who are present. The medium is thus an interpreter of the ideas and emotions of the communicant spirit.
Okay, so we complete the studies, or we are in the process of studying still physical effect, and we see that the function of the mirror is primarily as a donator um, of ectoplasm that the spirit will utilize to perform the phenomena almost regardless of the medium. And I say almost because there is a minimal participation of the medium in the process as well, but that is almost as the medium is absent. The spirit will collect the ectoplasm, will coat whatever object it, it wants to utilize, and will utilize at its own free will. 99.99%, so to say. Okay? What makes a intellectual phenomena is that in the process there is a greater participation of the medium, even when the medium is not able to recall its own participation on it. Here the communication is via thought, and is via thought from the spirit. We're going to see some slides that shows very clear with graphics what I'm talking about now, so don't worry if you're not understanding now. But the thought is produced first from a discarnate spirit, and it needs to reach the brains of the medium. It cannot go directly. It must go to the perispirit of the medium first. From the perispirit of the medium, now it can go into the physical organs of the medium, and then the medium will express the thought that was originated by the discarnate spirit. And the expression of the thought may be verbalized, spoken, or may be graphic, written. In some of the cases, it may be drawing, maybe painting. So you understand clearly here why the word intellectual, okay? Because it deals with the intellect. Another differentiation that is important to perceive here, that in the physical manifestation, everyone present will see, will hear, will smell, whatever the effect is of the phenomena, okay? It's not limited to the mediums. In case of an apparition in a room with 50 people, if those 50 people, no one is blind, all 50 people will see that apparition. If in that room with 50 people, the spirit seeks to bring the smell of roses, anyone who has an olfactory sensory intact will smell roses in that room. Everyone will, okay? In the intellectual phenomena, when the spirit sends its thought to the medium, no one will be able to perceive. We don't see thought. We don't hear thought. It's a different kind of energy. Only the medium who is in direct contact with that medium, with that spirit, I'm sorry, will be able to receive, to perceive that thought. Okay, that's another very important differentiation. Okay. Now, sorry, João. One thing that I want to very, very clear, because Kardec is in the very paragraph of the classification of mediums in the mediums book, Kardec asks us to be smart. When we are doing didactic studies, when I study something, we have almost a necessity to put things in little boxes to simplify the teaching, to make things very clear. And when you come to the intellectual phenomena, we do the same thing. We classify mediums and mediumship in many different little boxes. Okay? Now, there is a huge range of the degree or the intensity of the mediumship of intellectual effect. And in that very range of intensity or degree, in order to teach, you make those little boxes. But we need to be smart enough and to understand that there is not really a very solid demarcation of each one of those classifications. A medium, let's say there is a seeing medium, may also transit as being a medium of psychography or a medium of psychophony. So they are not limited to one thing and one thing only. Most medium will have a propensity, be more likely to work in one area, in one classification, again, in parentheses here, but you see mediums that they have tremendous facility to go from one kind of classification and to another very easily. So when we see this classification, say you are medium of X, you can only be X. No, that's not the case. The medium usually having that ability to receive communications may and very often do have the ability to have it in different types of classification, in different degrees, and in different intensity, which varies tremendous on the medium itself and the environment where the medium is performing the mediumship phenomena. So there is many other factors that may influence how the medium will act in that particular day or session. Okay?
Yeah, so an example that what Elmo just said is Jussara also, because you use your mediumship also according to the needs of the mediumistic meeting that you are present. When she was working, when we were living in Brazil, and she was used to attend the Spiritist Center in Brazil, she used to work as a medium of a seeing medium. So she would just try to see what was going on with the communicating spirit, and just advise the counselors what she was seeing. Then when we moved to London, there was no need for a medium of a seeing medium, because they worked in a different way. So she started developing psychography mainly, and then eventually psychophony also. So nowadays she does more of psychography primarily, but also psychophony, and seeing medium is not something that she does. So it goes according to necessity. Also important here, intellectual or intelligent effect, mediums of intellectual intelligent effect. Doesn't mean that the medium has to be smart or a genius, or it's just the nomenclature. It doesn't refer to the abilities of the intellectual abilities of the medium at all. The key word here is interpreter, right? The medium is an interpreter of the spirit. I think that's the key word. If you have any questions, please just let us know, okay? Otherwise, we'll go to the next one. Psychography, automatic writing. Of all the forms of communication, manual writing is the simplest, the most convenient, and especially the most complete. It enables relationships to be established with spirits that are as lasting and habitual as those we maintain amongst ourselves.
So now here I'm going to anticipate some or perhaps all the slides I had in a sense. Because we just said that the thought goes from a discarnate spirit. And of course, when you say the discarnate spirit is the spirit and its spirit's petty spirit, right? Please keep in mind that there is no spirit without a petty spirit. Okay, the petty spirit is still an instrument that allows the delivery of the thoughts of the spirit, that allows the spirit to act, to work. It's almost like the brain of the physical body. If one of the hands to move, the brain has to command the hands to move, so to say. Although the thought comes, but it needs something to deliver the thought to the hand so the hand can move, right? And so it goes from the discarnate spirit, the thought, the will. From there, it goes to the petty spirit of the medium, and from the petty spirit of the spirit to the body, to the physical organ, to the brain of the medium, and the medium will act upon the thought according to the will of the spirit. And when I say to the will of the spirit, in the intellectual phenomena, the medium is and must be always in control. Okay? It's a little bit complicated that but the medium must be in control. Okay? So when you talk of psychography, means the writing is spiritual writing, right? Psycho is a spirit writing. The graphic, it's writing. So the medium will write the thoughts of the spirit. And as I said, regardless of how it's working, of where the thoughts come from, for we to use our hand, we still have to use the mechanism that makes our hands move in the proper way that allow us to write A, B, C, D, okay? That the movements of the hand, the movements of the fingers, of the arms, is all commanded by a nervous system that command muscles. So writing is purely organic, regardless what the source of the thought is. If I want to speak and verbalize and make my thoughts heard when I speak, I have to use my vocal apparatus. I have to use my vocal cords, my larynx, and there is a nervous system that commands the little muscles and everything else in my vocal apparatus, in my larynx, so I can speak, so I can make my thoughts heard, because that's what really it means. And for that, I have to use physical, organic organs to produce sounds, to make my thoughts heard. It needs to go to the physical organs. Okay? So right now, I think, and immediately I'm able to verbalize my thought, to make it heard. Because that's what I'm doing right now. And there is this complex biochemic system in my brains that gonna send signals to nerves that is traveling, like little wires and sending energies to my vocal cords, to the muscles in the larynx, the muscles in my mouth, the muscles in my tongue. You see how complex it is? Is Of course we don't think of it, because if we had to think of it, we would not be able to express our thoughts. We'd be lost in so much um, biomechanical things that is going on for me to speak. Now, let's assume that those thoughts are not mine. Let's assume that these thoughts is from my grandmother that is sending her thoughts to my perispirit, and my perispirit sends those thoughts to my brain. This same biomechanical process takes place in order for me to be able to verbalize the thoughts of my grandmother, or to write the thoughts of my grandmother. Okay, so it's a complex mechanism, as if I send my own thoughts or if I send my grandma's thought. Okay. I tell you the truth, I don't know why Kardec just says the simplest, but definitely is the most convenient, and is definitely the most complete, because it is in it that you can restore those thoughts, that you can save those thoughts for many reasons. The most important then is to review them later, to check its value, to check if it deserves to be shared or deserves to be trashed. Okay, again, intelligence, reason will dictate what to do with those thoughts. And of course, with our intentions also, right? And if we imagine that a spirit is sending thoughts through a medium, and this medium is writing those thoughts, that is a very well established relationship here. And there must be the relationship of trust. I mean, the spirit must trust that the medium will express its thoughts in its fidelity as complete and as possible. And the medium as well has to trust that spirit to allow that approximation of the two perispirits to somewhat connect, so there is the extension of thought. Very often the approximation of those spirits to the mediums are pleasant because they have an already established relationship. And especially, of course, if the spirit is of a more elevated quality, it's always welcoming the presence of those spirits around the medium. Okay. Again, I'm going to go a little bit ahead over here now. We're going to see the next slide. That in order for this process to take place, and in all mediumistic phenomena, the medium is in a state of trance, of a mediumistic trance. And by trance, you define is an altered level of consciousness. At the moment in the medium is receiving a psychography, that medium is in a state of trance, is in a state of altered consciousness. It needs to be because there is a partial separation of the perispirit from the physical body. And obviously, because there is a time and a place for those things to take place, and you don't want to, to be a medium to be sitting in the subway and going to work, and the medium and the spirit wants to write through him to that medium. If the medium is not in a state of trance, that psychography cannot take place. Any questions there?
You're mute, Paco.
I have a question. Are thoughts recorded verbatim, or is there some room for, kind of like you said, interpretation, or they are recorded verbatim, word by word?
The word interpretation to me is the perfect word to be used. We cannot understand thought, almost we cannot understand thought without words. But in reality, thoughts are not words, thoughts are energy. We dress the thought with words because you need the means to express it. Now, this is extremely abstract because it's almost impossible for us to conceive the idea of thought without words. But thought is much more, is an energy, it's much more than words. Okay? So much so that the spirits always tell us that our verbal communication cannot express many of thoughts that we have because we don't have words for those thoughts. You understand? So
yes,
the fidelity here is inability of the spirit of the medium to express the thought of the spirit as close to 100% as possible. Will that be 100%? Very rarely. If you take, let's say, for example, the relationship between Chico Xavier and Emmanuel, and this tremendous mediumistic ability of Chico Xavier, you would say that that is as close as possible to 100%, but yet there is a little bit of Chico in every message that he wrote, as long as it does not compromise the thought, is not the compromise
The integrity of
the
the thought.
reputation, so to say, of the spirit. That's fine. We cannot alter the idea, we cannot alter the intention, you cannot alter the eloquence, you cannot alter the the objective of the thought, but you can put your words, you can address those thoughts with your ability, and it will vary on each one's lexicon.
Yeah, many times we see mediums receiving messages from elevated spirits and saying later, well, the message was much more beautiful in my head than in the words that came out, because you couldn't express the beauty of the words because we didn't have the words or the capacity. So
Yeah.
it's really the medium's words. It is the communication is restricted to the medium's ability to express it, and there is always a component of the medium, the so-called enemies, which is the participation of the medium's own thought ability process in the communication. Okay, now how much is the participation of the medium depends on the medium, depends the connection. You know, it's pretty much like translation.
It depends on
When
the
you translate a book, you are never going to get 100% of the original work, because
That's true. That is true.
languages are limited.
Very
So
good.
you get as much as possible. That's more or less the same thing with a medium.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Very good. Very good. Translation. Yeah. Now I have a second question, Elmo. When you say that when we said that the spirit communicates through the brain, but through the perispirit into the brain of the medium. Do do I assume that there's also a peri-brain in the perispirit?
I think that's as a good assumption. Okay, if you go back to André Luiz Nosso Lar, when he discarnated, when he ends up in the lower zone, is getting treatment. He's getting treatment very specific, the measure for to the stomach. Now, and that was discarnated for at least 8 years, and that stomach has already been the physical stomach has already been eaten by earth a long time already. You had already breathing whatever was left of that decomposed physical body a long time already. And he says specifically to the stomach. So of course is a part of the perispirit that deals with digestive system, not a stomach per se. But
Exactly. Okay.
again, you're talking about words here now, right? Can you imagine the difficulty that André Luiz may have to find words for things that we don't really have,
And,
do not understand?
exactly.
Like let's
Mm-hmm.
assume here that the perispirit has an anatomy. Okay, and I make that assumption, and people, I'm say I because it's me, and then I make this assumption when you read about spirits in the spiritual world, they talking about body parts as we pretty much do here, if we have then. We receive communication of spirits complaining of pain on very specific parts of the perispirit, of course. They say, my arm is hurt, or my head is hurt, or my chest is hurting, which lead us to believe that there is something in that perispirit that is in association with those anatomical parts of the physical body. But I'm not going to say that there is a brain in the perispirit, or there is a petty brain, or a petty stomach, or a petty left arm. And another thing that makes to have that assumption is that the physical body is connected to the perispirit by zillion numbers of little wires connectors, right? And the big one being the silver cord, but you have many other ones. And many other ones are directly connected with some parts of the physical body, especially with the endocrine system. Tremendous association of the glands, energies, spiritual energies, and the perispirit. So I'm not gonna say there is a peribrain, but there is a part of the perispirit that is associated with the brain. There is a part of the perispirit that is associated with digestive system. I'm not gonna say there is a there is a stomach, there is a small intestine, and large intestine, but there is a part in the perispirit that is related to what for us is a digestive system. There is a part on the perispirit that is associated to us what is the brain, and what is the feet, and what is the right hand, and what is the left hand. Does that answer your question? Because this is complex and it's a very important question.
Yes. No. You answer it well in terms of that basically you're telling me that we cannot say per se, but there's a correspondence.
There's a correspondence. I like the word correspondence, yes. And I think you can make that, I make that assumption with a high degree of confidence, let's say, for what you have reading and witness in our mediumship meetings.
Thank you.
Sure.
May I?
Yes, please.
Let me just
go ahead, Paco.
We lost you, Paco.
I'm excusing myself. Okay.
Yeah, you mute yourself. Oh, go ahead, Luis.
Okay. Actually, I'd like to bring up two issues. First one, and please don't interpret me wrongly. I'm not trying to confront what you have presented. I'm just asking if maybe there is newer knowledge that I'm not aware. While preparing for class some time ago, you actually do have my materials, João. I learned reading Kardec, the posthumous works of Kardec, chapter 6, where he clearly stated that you might have mechanic mediums. And for the mechanic medium, he's absolutely inconscient of what he's doing. It's like the errant spirit, obviously through the median nervous systems, through this perispirit, the association, etc., will write, but the medium is doing it mechanically. Is this not accepted anymore, or is it still true?
It's totally accepted. It is totally accepted, yes.
So the mechanical medium
Yes.
is not aware of what he's doing. He's just, his body organs are performing according to the will, the direct will of the, okay, good, understood.
Yeah, but it still goes to the brain.
It goes through something, but
Yeah,
not the conscious part of the medium.
Yes, yes.
And we are going to discuss that very shortly here in this
Good,
presentation.
good.
Yeah, because of course you do understand. I know you understand very well that in order for you to move your hands, your neuromuscular processes must take an effect, right? Okay.
Yeah, but the medium is, the will of the medium is not, it's not filtering
Yes,
anything that's being communicated.
yes,
And,
100%.
and the second thing has to do with the answer you just gave to Paco. I don't have the reference here, but I'm pretty sure I have a good reference for it. I've read it. That while we are incarnated, our perispirit has a one-to-one, cell-to-cell connection with the body's cells.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, it's like a match, a cell-to-cell match with the perispirit,
Mm-hmm.
physical body and perispirit. This is still considered correct, right?
I don't know if if it's ever been proven to be a fact. I have read that as well.
Okay.
As I said, the connection between the perispirit and the physical body, it's zillions, many of them. Is that a cell to cell, one to one? I cannot assure that, but I have read that as well.
Good.
But definitely an association to integral systems of the physical body, and definitely to the endocrine system, yes, for sure. Cell to cell, personally, I think it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's possible.
Thank you, Elmo.
Imagine that we had, let's think of our squamous cells, so to say, cells that have a very short life. They die, like skin cell, being replaced every 24 hours. Do we really have one-to-one connection, perispirit, with those squamous cells? To me, a little bit of a stretch. But yes, I have read that as well.
Personally, I think it's possible.
Sure.
I do think it's possible that we have a match, a cell-to-cell match, and the perispirit is renewed as our body is renewed. And obviously, I've never read with this detail, but that was my inference. But thank you.
Yeah.
You read somewhere as well, so
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And again, the word possible is the one that I almost leave out, because if you ask me, it's possible. Yeah, there's very few things I would say it's not possible. A cow to fly without wings, I would say pretty much impossible if you're not inside an airplane. But most of the things to me, it's possible. So yeah, it is possible that that correlation is cell to cell,
yeah,
even to
and
the squamous ones.
it made sense to me because we learned that the perispirit like sort of directs the development of our body, and it's related in the terms of generating and causing diseases, etc. So, but anyway, I'm stressing the point. Thank you. Your answer was perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, so we left this out. Mediums who exhibit the faculty of psychography may be classified in 3 basic groups. Here we go. Mechanical or unconscious medium, what Luis was just mentioned. What characterizes the phenomenon is, in this instance, is that the medium is completely unaware of what he or she is writing.
Okay, so this is the graphic that I said that illustrates very well how the process functions. When you are looking at the picture on the right-hand side, facing facing you, you see a drawing which seems to be a drawing of a female. Okay, next to that, there is to see a drawing that is to see of a male, and next to it is a more clear picture of a male. So the illustration here is that we are seeing the body spirit of the discarnate spirit represented on the drawing of a female, and you see the perispirit of the medium, incarnated spirit, as the drawing of a male, and then you have with the dots, right? And then with solid line, we have the physical body of the medium. And the dot, or the three dots, is going in the forehead, that I'm not sure if the intention here is simply to show the head, and I believe it is only intention to show the head, or if it's the intention to show the frontal chakra, or the so-called third eye. Let's leave that apart for right now. Let's say that it's thoughts generated by this kind of spirit, with the represented the graphic of a female, goes to the perispirit of the medium, and from there to the brain of the medium. And the medium now can use its brain to send the messages via the nervous system to the hands that will write the thoughts that was originated by the spirit. What you see here in the unconscious medium, you see that the perispirit of the medium is further separated, partially separated. Is no full separation ever, unless death occurs, from the physical body of the medium. There is a expansion is a word that is used, and is a further expansion of that perispirit from the physical body. And that's exactly what the mediumist trans little is that little expansion or further expansion of the perispirit of the medium. And there is an approximation of the two perispirits of the discarnate spirit and the perispirit of the medium. So in the picture here, so they are kind of touching each other in that approximation. Is that really they are really touching or no? The graph shows that approximating the two perispirits, so the thought may go from one to the next. Once that separation is so far apart, now the the thought will go into the brain of the medium, I'm sorry, of the medium, and it will go direct to the parts of the brain that commands the nervous motor function for the desired effect. And by that I mean, you're talking about psychography now, means that if this medium is right-handed, the thought will go directly to the parts of the brain, to the motor parts of the brain that commands motor function, muscle function, to go into the right arms, into the right hands. So it writes. It bypasses the part that deals with the more cognitive functions, the understanding the thought, analyzing the thought. It bypasses all that. It goes straight to the mechanical part, and that's why it's mechanical. Okay, one example that we used many years and is still useful is, and I came out with this idea when in reality I had a problem with my computer many years ago when I knew not about computer, and I think today I know less. I'm still completely ignorant of it. And I had a problem with the computer and I could get things work for any reason. So I call Optum Online, the time I had Optum Online, and the guy's telling me what to do. I don't understand anything. I said, what are you talking about? You press X, Z, Y. So man, you're talking Chinese to me. I don't know anything. So the guy asked me, so do you allow me to take over your computer? And I said, yeah, go ahead. So now I gave him that permission. And for wherever he was, I don't know, in the Philippines, in India, in Brooklyn, I don't know, he is able to operate my computer as if he was right here using my computer. And he is opening things and closing things and doing things completely in disregard of me. It's my computer. I can say stop. I can say, no, don't do that. And you stop and you not do that. But I trusted him. I trust that he gonna use my instrument, and I let him do things. And the thing is happening disregard of my thoughts. The same thing here. I trust, I am a medium of mechanical psychography. I trust the medium is going to write. And I say, go ahead, use my instrument and write your thoughts. I don't know what the thought is. I don't hear the thoughts. I don't feel the thoughts. I don't interpret the thoughts. I just write. And you only find out what is it that the spirit was thinking when I'm out of the trance and I read that message myself. But I am still in control. And that is another thing is very hard to understand. And I must be in control if I am somewhat educated medium. A medium must always be in control. The same way that I allow the guy to use my computer, by the time that I say, hey, stop it, I don't like this, you stop. Because I'm in control and it's my instrument, it's my computer. That is what makes it mechanical, that it bypasses the thought process of the medium. It goes straight to the mechanical ability of use the hands so the hands can write the thoughts of the medium. Does it make sense?
And the famous example we have is, again, Francisco Xavier, Chico Xavier, that was an unconscious medium, and he could receive two messages at the same time, write with his left hand and his right hand at the same time, and have a conversation with you while he was receiving the messages. So this is the utmost unconscious medium, that example that we have. You are on mute, Paco.
Yeah, this is getting complicated to me because
so.
if the thoughts are actually energy, and language is very limited in translating those thoughts. Okay, so there has to be some kind of probably minute participation of even the unconscious medium, because it's using a tool, language, to express an energy. And besides, I think that the diagram that we have there, instead of the broken line at the top between the perispheres, shouldn't it be that a solid line?
Why?
Because the perispirit is communicating with the energy of the other one. And from the perispirit of this one going into the physical body, that should be broken line. Am I making sense, or am I confusing myself? Because it's energy. The energy of the perispirit of the spirit is communicating with the perispirit.
So
And
the thought,
there's
the
energy
thought is
there.
that
There's no need
straight
for
line.
language.
You see, the thought is the
Exactly.
straight line,
Exactly.
the straight line with little graphics, right? Well, I
The
don't know,
straight
look,
line.
little cars, little
The one
things
on the
like a
top, yeah.
train, thing. I don't know. But the very straight line that goes from the dot in the forehead to the dot in the forehead to the dot in the forehead. That's
Exactly.
the thought, right? And the breaking line is to signify two perispirits, and the solid line is to signify one physical body.
You know, Paco, I think that if you use straight lines for the thought, would mean that we're discussing theories here. Would mean that the same thought that the spirit has goes exactly the thought that the perispirit will transmit to the physical body of the medium, and it's not exactly. So that's why it's dotted. It's what we are discussing, the interpretation, right? But again, I think your second question is much more interesting here that we should address, which is, you know, if it's a thought coming and the medium has no participation in it, how it comes that he writes words, right?
Exactly.
That was the second question, right?
That was my second question.
And I think that that's more, you know, that's actually the question that it's interesting here, because, you know, if representing dot lines or straight lines, that's, you know, that's just a distraction in my opinion.
No, in sense of facilitating, I thought that you know, when you're in the spirit world and there's no language in the spirit world, and you're able to communicate with each other with thoughts. So it would be not thought; it would be energy. So it should be kind of direct. I don't know, but that's anyway. That's what do you call it? I would say the value judgment, I guess. But anyway, regarding the unconscious medium, how is able to? How is Elmo? How is he able to be totally unconscious if he's got to write?
Yes. The brain has its own way of translating energy, thought, into words, into whatever it has, right? When I am sent to you my own thoughts, I am generating thoughts, right? And those thoughts is also generated by I spirit to I via I perispirit that goes to my own brain, right? The brain does not produce thoughts, right? The brain is able to translate energy, thought into words, right? So that brain of the medium is able to do the same thing with the thoughts that come from a third party. That spirit will utilize the same mechanism of translation of energy into words, the same way if the thought's mine or if it's someone else.
Okay, so what you're telling me that the brain has the capacity, the brain has the capacity to produce writing without being conscious.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's
I can't.
You know what the problem is? Just a minute. You know what the problem is here is we are very much stuck to the idea that the brain is intelligent. The brain is a computer, it's a machine, it's not intelligent. It has tremendous ability of doing a lot of automated and autonomic stuff, but the intelligent is us, spirit. The brain has the ability, then the algorithm, so to say, to transform or to interpret energy thought into words. Of course, we have to learn those words. I have to go the process of learning those words. Right?
Without being conscious of it, yeah.
Do you agree,
Exactly.
Luis?
I can't. I don't know if it's this applies to the same reasoning, but I suffer from apnea. Okay, and a doctor told me that my brain, when I'm asleep, wakes me up to intake some air, but I am not aware that I'm waking up throughout the night.
Right.
So even though my brain tells me you have to wake up in order to intake air throughout the night, I'm not aware. Of course, now I use a machine. Of course, through the night I'm not aware that I'm doing that, and next day I think I slept all night long.
Yes.
So I was not conscious of it. I was not conscious of it, yet the brain did it for me. So the same way, I don't know if it's a good analogy, but you're in medical field, so you should know. So the same way the brain
You
can
can use
produce
it.
the writing, huh?
You can use the analogy somehow if it works for you. But what's happening to
I
sleep
don't know.
apnea? What's happening to the sleep apnea is a survival mechanism. You have to take a breath. If you don't take a breath, you're gonna become
Exactly. I'm
acidic
gonna
and
die.
eventually die. Okay, you're gonna become acidic and eventually die. So the body wakes you up. You do a little jerk of motion, take a deep breath, and go back to sleep. That
Exactly.
waking up is a fraction of a second. It's just allow you to take a deep breath and go back. So what happens with sleep apnea, no, just a parenthesis over here, is that apnea means no breathing. Apnea means no, right? So no air. You go to period that you stop breathing. Now, the body wakes you up when that period of no breathing is prolonged. No, because it's obstructive. No, part of the bottom of the throat drops down in the larynx, and you just don't breathe, and that's why you snore, right? Because it's a very tight pathway for air.
Yeah.
Okay. And the body will, for survival mechanism, will wake you up. And in that jolt that waking up, you take a deep breath. And you do that repeated times. So you have a very breaking up sleep. You don't sleep well, you don't breathe well. And what the machine does for you is injects air, forceful air, into the airway and keeps the airway open throughout the night, and you sleep better, you wake up better, you breathe better, and everything is better.
Yeah, but is that a good analogy?
If it works for you, yeah. It may not work for, but if it works for you, the idea is that the brain will do things on its own, besides our consciousness demanding it. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Elmo, you asked if I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, and I think there's, for me at least, it's fairly simple.
It is. Well, it's very and yet complex.
You know, in the sense that we learned extensively that the perispirit is the middleman between the spark and our physical body when we are incarnated. And in my view, in the mechanical mediums that have mechanical aptitude when in the presence of errant spirits with whom they have affinity, their perispirits communicate, and the perispirit of the medium pilots his body according to the spark of the other perispirit. I mean, this way, we know that Divaldo, Johnny's friend, has done psychography mechanical in German, and he does know German. We know of mediums who cannot read or write, who do psychography. So their brain's not at work there. I mean, not their brain, their conscience.
The conscious brain is not at work there. Yes, correct. Yeah, I think the other part is for us to be completely free of the idea that the brain does not thinking. does not do the thinking. It's very hard for us to free from this illusion.
Using your analogy, I like to think that the brain is hardware.
Yep.
And our thoughts are software.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. All right. Sorry, I think I don't have anything else here. So let's move to the next one. So the faculty is all the more valuable since it does not leave the slightest doubt about the independent thought of the entity doing the writing. The medium enters a state of a more profound trance. Even when the medium is not aware of the details of the message's content he or she is going to transmit, he or she has a general idea of it. Still on the mechanical or unconscious mediums.
Yeah, okay, so the Father is my expansion from the of my perispirit from my physical body. The Father is the partial separation of the perispirit and the spirit. The greatest is the depth of the trance. The more I am free in that state of trance, that it's a more deep trance, the more I am free of my own biases, of my own even, at least at the conscious level, ability of use words and I'm more able to utilize things that I cannot use at the conscious level. And since I do not use much what I have at the conscious level, it minimizes my participation on the writing. Means there is greater fidelity that I will express the thought of the spirit and its completeness 100% when I'm on that deeper trance. Careful, a mechanical or unconscious medium, you cannot say that it's better than a conscious medium. No, that's not the case. A well-educated medium is a well-educated medium, being conscious or unconscious. An uneducated or a medium make bad use of its mediumship will be the same being conscious or unconscious, okay? A good medium is a good medium in either way, and a bad medium is a bad medium in either way. But what they're telling us here is that the deeper is my trance, the less I will use my own conscience, so the less my biases will interfere with the thought of the medium, of the spirit. I keep using the wrong word, I'm sorry. All right?
Yeah. All right. So next one, intuitive or conscious medium. A spirit transmits its thought through the intermediates of the soul of the medium. The spirit does not act directly upon the hand in order to make it right, but acts upon the soul with which it identifies itself.
Okay. I like to take the intuitive word off. It's not nothing wrong, okay? And you'll see later. Let's only consider conscious meter. Leave the intuitive off for now, okay? And you will see why soon. You see a big difference of the graphic picture here now, right? You see the discarnate spirit, perispirit in dots, right? Appear to be a female. Send the thoughts directed, what appears to be direct, to the brain of the medium. What you see that still on straight lines, a small expansion of the perispirit of the medium. And that separation that of the perispirit of the physical body of the medium is so limited, they don't even put the dot lines, but put solid lines. So as you see the medium with 3 lines, we imagine that the inner light represents the physical body, and the outer lines represents the perispirit. So we can see in comparison what we saw before for the unconscious medium, the degree of expansion or partial separation of the perispirit from the physical body of the medium is much lesser. So that tells us that the medium is much more conscious, is utilize its own brain and its own cognition throughout the communication. That medium is still in a state of trance. That is important. It is still in a state of trance. But there is the separation or the partial separation of the perispirit is reduced in comparison to the unconscious medium. So what's happened here, remember the computer problem that I had, that I say, man, I have no idea what you're doing, you go ahead and you do it. Use my instrument, I put my hands out and I let you take over. Here is different. Here, the guy is telling me, Elmo, press button A, shift to this thing, and I say, okay, you told me to do button A, I press button A, I shift that to the right, and I shift that to the right. So I am receiving the thought of that person. I am bringing to my physical brain, I'm bringing to my conscious brain, to my cognitive ability to interpret, analyze, and act. And that's exactly what happened with the conscious medium. The conscious medium will receive the thought. We will think over the thought, we will analyze the thought, and we will verbalize the thought. So you can see here that the risk of me as a medium putting my own biases as I make that interpretation and an analysis and deliver and verbalize or write that thought somewhat compromised with my own thoughts is greater than if it was an unconscious medium. But a well-educated medium will reproduce the thoughts with greater fidelity because it's a well-educated medium. We will not allow its own bias, its own thoughts to interfere. It will not allow my feelings to get in the way of the feelings of the spirit. Meaning that if the spirit is angry, brings a very angry energy and a very angry thoughts, I will write all that anger. Naturally, I will use, let's say, words perhaps that are proper for anyone who is somewhat more sophisticated. They're not gonna use, curse words. Maybe the spirit is cursing the hell of the word in his thoughts. When I write, I express all that anger. I express exactly what the spirit is thinking, but I'll be more selective with the words because I have an ability to think it over and select better words. But I still maintain fidelity with the general idea of the thought, the motion of that spirit. So now instead of me put my hands up and say, go ahead, use my instrument at your own will. No, I will receive the command. I will analyze, interpret, and decide to obey that command or not. And then I'm gonna use my physical apparatus to go ahead and write or verbalize that thought. And what makes that differentiate is the degree of expansion of the perispirit, basically. Does it make sense?
And the issue here for the mediums is that because they are conscious, especially for beginners, they tend to hesitate to give the communication because they tend to think that it's themselves, that the thought is from themselves, that they don't as beginners they don't have the ability still to separate what is theirs and what is the spirit, or they have a difficulty to separate what is theirs from the spirit. More experienced mediums will allow it to flow, knowing that most of it, the largest amount of the communication comes from the spirit. And of course, you know what Elmo said, the bias can play some role there, but for a beginner medium, it's very difficult to allow it to flow because they think it's themselves. Okay. Questions? Comments? No? Okay. Psychography, still conscious mediums. Here we must note an important fact. The communicating spirit does not replace the medium's soul. In other words, it does not dislodge it from the body, and it is neither capable or not desirous of doing so. Rather, it dominates it apart from the medium's will and impresses its own will on it. The soul receives the spirit's thought and transmits it. In this situation, the medium is conscious of what is being written, although it is not a reflection of his or her own thought.
So what you see here is that the degree of education of the medium, perhaps even greater over here, to not allow itself to interfere with the idea of the spirit, with the emotions, the feelings of the spirit. And the word interpret over here gains even greater meaning and importance, because now as if I am talking on the phone with Paco, who is in Florida enjoying his Miami apartment over there. And
oh, not this year.
and once Paco tells me something, I'm in the spiritual sense, I'd let everybody know what Paco is saying. Now, when Paco tells me something, it comes to me via my audio apparatus. It goes into my brain. I interpret it. I use my own cognition to say what Paco is saying. And then I say it out loud to everybody to hear, okay? If there is a problem with the connection, Paco may be saying something and I'm not receiving it properly. It's not gonna come out proper, my interpretation not come out proper, and my delivery not gonna be proper. If I'm a conscious medium, when I receive, let's say that I am Jewish, and my parents died at the Holocaust, and I am a conscious medium, and I receive a medium who is a Nazi soldier who comes to write how proud that Nazi soldier he is of all the killings of the Jewish people, how badly he offended the Jewish religion, and I am a medium receiving consciously those thoughts. How is my ability to deliver those thoughts in writing or verbalizing with the greater fidelity to the medium? I'm receiving it, and I have to deliver it. There's a great chance that I'm not going to be able to do a good job. Because definitely my own history, my own past, my own feelings will definitely interfere with my ability to be a good medium at that moment. Am I a bad medium? Well, I'm human. And I have that historical, and I have the thing that makes me very difficult. Likely that spiritually use somebody else. I'm not the proper instrument at his hand. So being a conscious medium puts some limitations on what I can do and I cannot do, because I will receive the thought, I will analyze, I will interpret, I know exactly what the spirit is sending to me, and those things that I'm receiving may have a very great effect on me, depends on who I am. We will make it harder for me to pass it on by speaking or by writing those thoughts. So being a conscious medium puts some limitations, of course, in communications. A medium must be very well educated, one, as João said, to differentiate what is the medium's thought and what's not, what's anemic, what's not anemic. And to have this, almost as to take oneself out of the equation and just be an instrument, even though you are receiving those thoughts, or you are thinking of it, you are analyzing, you are interpreting, and do your job to the best of your ability as well. Becomes more complex, more difficult, depends on the situation. But always the medium is in control. The medium can always stop. The medium can always say, no, not gonna go ahead with this. No, this is not the kind of thing that I want to deal with. The medium must be, a well-educated medium must be in control of it. Conscious and unconscious.
Okay. Next. Semi-mechanical psychography. Semi-mechanical or semi-conscious mediums. Semi-mechanical mediums feel their hand being moved without their willing it to do so, but at the same time they are aware while the words are being formed of what is being written.
Okay, so we just saw what's an unconscious or mechanical medium, and we saw what's a conscious medium. And a semi-conscious is something between the two of them. You see that in unconscious, the expansion is farther out of the perispirit, the separation is much greater, the depth of the trance is much deeper, and the conscience is not so deep, and in the semi-conscious is something between the two of them, as represented by the graphic. You see the expansion of the perispirit from the medium's body is much farther than the conscience, but it's still much closer to the physical body than the unconscious one. Now, please, this is a graphic interpretation. Don't take this in a very literal sense, okay? But the degree of separation of the perispirit is not as far out as the unconscious and not as limited as the conscious one. So all the sensations of the mirror will be somewhere in between. He knows that the process is taking place. He knows that is the field of the hand is working, doing writing, but doesn't know exactly the whole thought that is being expressed on those words. You have a very good an idea of what's happening, but not a complete understanding of the message yet. It is almost like being half asleep, so to say.
Yeah. Going back to your computer example, Elmo, is it's when you have the guy telling you what to do, and as he tells you what to do, you immediately do it. So he tell you type A, type B, type S, space, and you are doing it without much thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So he's not taking over your computer, and he's not telling you what to do, and you are doing what he's telling you to do. He's just telling what to do, and immediately as he tells you, are doing it without really thinking about it.
What you're
Right?
thinking about, yes. Not really analyze and interpret, just mechanically doing it. That's right.
Okay.
Hello.
Aline, you have a question? Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay, good. I tried to speak before, but I think my other headphone was not very good. The microphone wasn't working. I have a question, and it's like about unconscious, conscious, and semi-conscious. I lived when I was growing up in Brazil. I lived across the street from a Umbanda center. Um, it's like what they call like a white Umbanda branca, but they had like the spirits, what we say, incorporate, right, take over the body. That's what they said. And
it's
one
not really
time,
true, but anyway,
well,
yeah, it's what they say. It's what they say. Yeah, I know.
right. So this is the part of my question, right? Because one time I actually went by myself. I was 11 or 12. It was across the street, so I just crossed the street. They were having some sort of some Cosme Damião party for the kids, and they had like the whole thing that they do where there's a circle, and then there's like the drums, and then there's like the mediums that incorporated the spirits, and then I started doing the whole thing, and I was little, so I got really traumatized, and I remember I was praying, and I said, I don't want a spirit to get into my body. And I said, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. And then, it stopped. And, I stayed, I think I stayed a little longer. Then I went home, and, I got really scared. So my question is, when you say unconscious, um, it's not really that the spirit is taking over the body, but the spirit is in control of the machine, like Elmo said. They're moving the mouse, and they're clicking on things, and they're um, it has there has to be some sort of and I think you guys talked about this, like there has to be a permission on the part of the medium, but also a trust relationship. Would you say that this trust relationship plays a part on the type of communication, if it's conscious, semi-conscious, or unconscious, like the level of trust between the spirit and the medium?
It varies tremendous with the kind of work that you do. Let's assume that you do the kind of you participate in mediumship meetings on the type that work that you do at SGNY, which is a kind of rescue suffering spirits. Okay. And you as a medium place yourself as an instrument of the mentors of the house to help those spirits. They will express their thoughts through you. So it's primarily psychophony. You don't know who those spirits are, therefore there is no relationship with that to be used as an instrument. And you will have an absolute degree of trust, but in the work being done, in the mentors of the house, not necessarily with that spirit that you communicate to, because you don't know what it is. And more than that, you know there is an angry spirit, there is a rebellious spirit, it's a suffering spirit. Okay, so the trust, the spirit's not there, right? But if your nature as a medium, as a unconscious medium, it will happen the same way. That medium, you will give permission as a medium for that angry, rebellious spirit to use your instrument the same way, trusting that the matters of the house are in control and will not allow anything bad to happen to you.
Oh, I see. So it's
And
like
and and
intellect.
now you see here the importance of doing leadership in the right place at the right time with the right people. We see here the risk, especially for the unconscious medium, takes to be to work with that mediumship without proper guidance, without proper protection in the wrong place, because there is no way to say, oh, I trust that angry spirit who wants to kill everyone inside this meeting right now.
No.
No, but you trust the mentors of the house that you can donate yourself to be used by that spirit. So the trust is in the complete work itself, not necessarily that spirit. Now, let's say psychography, that you decide to write, that spirit decide to write a book through you. No, and you are an unconscious medium. You write without knowing what you're writing, but eventually you're gonna come out of that trance and you're gonna read what was delivered through your hands. And then you analyze if that thing deserves to be published or it also deserves to be trashed. And if it's only trashed the second time around, when this spirit approximates, say, no, 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 no. I'm not willing to participate in this kind of work. You are in command.
Right. But if it's unconscious, then you're not in command. So
You
why
you are
why
in,
would you do that?
you are in command to write that thing right then, right there, without know what it is, but it's still allow the spirit to read. Okay. Second time around, if you didn't like it, you do not allow it to initiate. Once it initiates, yeah, it's in command. You still have the ability to stop it.
Wait,
That
sorry. So
requires more
yeah.
discipline of the medium.
So
Demands more discipline.
I'm a little confused because for me, in my head, the writing would be semi-conscious because you're only giving permission to use your hand.
No, it's full unconscious. The thought reaches the part of your brain that leads the hands to write and bypasses your cognition, your ability to think those thoughts.
Interesting.
Your participation is allowing or not allowing. Once you allow, is unconscious. You don't know what's going on, but you have control of allowing or not allowing. We start. That's because it's not that unconscious the spirit takes over without you consent or not consent. No, you always have to consent. The educated medium does not allow the spirit to take over if the medium doesn't want it. But once it takes over the unconscious, then the message will come without the medium being aware what is being written or said. Okay, it's two things here, separate things.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought it was just the hand, because now I go back to the trust thing. You know, if I'm taking a psychography, I'm a medium, right? I'm Givaldo, and I'm taking a psychography, and then this is a spirit that I don't really know that well. It's not a spirit that I've been in touch with. And then all of a sudden there's something happening, like there's fire, or I smell something. I, Aline, the medium, smell smoke, and the spirit is not aware of the fire. So how
you
does
interrupt
that?
it? You interrupt it. You are conscious. You are not. You are not. You are not in a. You are not in a. How do you say? I forgot the word. You are. You are. You are still you. You are conscious
Not
of
in
what
coma,
your
You're not in coma.
Yeah, you're not in coma. Yeah, you are not a. Something happens. You stop it. Yeah, you are in completely control of stopping it. The only thing you don't know is what's being written or what's being said. If it's. But you are in complete control of your surroundings, of yourself and surroundings.
Yeah. There have been cases in our mediumship meetings in which the spirit seems to be getting out of hand, and with the dialogue, we tell the medium disconnect, and the medium goes ahead and disconnect and stop that communication.
Right.
It is somewhat abstract to understand, and I struggle a lot to understand this. It is I'm completely unconscious, and yet I'm in complete control of the whole thing. It's it's hard for me to, since I'm not a medium, not experience such a phenomena. It's hard for me to put in words how exactly yes, but the spirit is, the medium is in control and must be in control.
Right. Yeah. It's because I'm thinking about the brain, and I'm thinking about like all the aspects of the brain, and so it's like it's weird to think that it's like you take over the brain, but you're still in control. Like what part of the brain?
Different parts of the brain. It's different parts of the brain, right?
Yes.
Right.
It's different parts of the brain. And again, what is in control is not the brain, it's the spirit, is I spirit, is the medium spirit who is in control. Because it is the medium spirit who has will, who has who makes decisions, not the physical brain. And again, it's so hard for us to disconnect, to separate the two things at times.
I guess in your example would be if I just turned off the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays it's much more common to use this remote control of the computer, right? You at any moment you can interrupt it. If the guy starts to check your bank account, you can interrupt the activity, right? You are in control of your computer, so that's the spirit there controlling what's going on.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. So we already went a little bit over the time. There is we'll do one more slide here, and then we'll stop, because this is a complement of this, and then we'll stop here and we'll continue next month.
And I thought it'd be too short. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So semi-mechanical or semi-conscious. With the first, the medium's thought appears after the writing. With the second, before the writing. With the third, while the writing is in process. Semi-mechanical mediums are the most numerous.
Okay. Not sure semi-mechanical mediums, there is a statistic number put on that to say the semi-mechanical medium was the most numerous. It kind of makes sense to me, but I can't say that for sure. It'd be nice to have statistic value, and it'd be even nice to see if mediums can actually put themselves in one or another box, label themselves as one or another. But yeah, so basically what they say over here, when you are fully unconscious, you only will put you on thought process and see what's reading after. When you are fully conscious, you receive the thoughts, analyze, interpret, to know exactly what you're gonna write, and then you write. And then you, as same mechanic, you receive and write almost immediately, and the interpretation is some kind of partial.
Yeah, the semi-conscious, he's not aware what is going to be written, but as it is writing, it becomes aware. So
Right.
the unconscious medium finishes the communication and has no idea what was wrote. The semi-conscious, as it's writing, it becomes aware of what's being writing. So it knows by the end what it wrote. And with the conscious, of course, they know before writing what they're going to write. Okay.
Okay.
So we thought that this was going to be a short presentation, and actually we got to the half of it only. So we will continue next month. We still have half of the presentation to go through, but you know, it's a sign that we are going deeper into the study, and that there is a lot to discuss about. The more you discuss each subject, is because you are more in depth into the knowledge and the discussion of it. So we invite you to come back next. I believe we'll do it next month. We will do the second part of it. Okay. Just a reminder, this week is Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And we won't have our studies on Thursday because of Thanksgiving, of course. All the other meetings are regular as scheduled on Tuesday, on Monday, tomorrow, the 7:30 meeting, on Tuesday, the Spiritism at noon, and next Sunday we'll have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions related to this, still, you can bring it next Sunday. We're going to have a full day, full session of Q&A. Okay? And I'm going to ask Zoraida to do our final prayer.
Yes, absolutely. As we come to the end of our meeting today, with our hearts full of gratitude to the spiritual benefactors who have guided, instructed our teachers to continue our studies in mediumship and intelligent manifestations. We are so grateful. We thank you for allowing us this open window of knowledge, helping us to understand who we are. We ask, as we finish here today, that we continue to understand, to study, and to put into practice. We pray, dear Father, for all of humanity who's going through so much difficulties now, to assist us and help us and guide us, to have the strength, to have the faith that our Lord knows what we need, but we also have to do our part in our praying, keeping strong, and have that unshakable faith. We are so grateful. We pray, dear Father, for those in hospitals and hospices that are going through so much. May you give them the light, the strength to understand that they're not alone. And the prayers are so needed for all that are in need, dear God. We thank you. We ask as we leave here today to continue throughout the week with our studies, understanding that all is needed is through prayer, faith, and guidance, that we always, always guided and helped. With our hearts full of gratitude, we thank you, dear Father. And with that in mind, we ask permission to close our meeting today. So be it.